AI is not going to take our jobs. It's going to take away some jobs that shouldn't even exist in the first place. The easiest business to do in this world is rent seeking. It's just know Mr. A and B and they merge them together and take a cut. It's brain dead. Tech in Nigeria is the same as tech anywhere all over the world. The computer you use is the same thing they use over there. So if you master it, you can operate anywhere in the world. And that was how the journey, started. I'm very ambitious. From time I've always, in fact, when my secondary school in my yearbook, I still have the picture when they were asking everybody what they wanted to be. You want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor? I just said I wanted to be a millionaire. I started a company. In fact, I almost failed out of school because I took it so seriously that even my parents were scared that, look, just finish this thing because it was my final year.
Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Stories and Journeys, where we explore the transformative power of learning, growth, and resilience. Join us as we uncover untold narratives and ignite curiosity. My name is Oluseyi Akindeinde, and joining us here today is an amazing person with over 2 decades of experience working in the technology and information system sector here in Nigeria, and I dare say Africa. He has fantastic experience in leveraging new technology to drive impact within the landscape here. He's no other person than Oluseyi Akindeinde. Ashe.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We're super honored to have you here. Looking at the kind of work you do and the amazing impact you're driving within the space, we think that technology is quite pivotal to growth, and development, of an economy. And looking at the works you've done in the past, you've created, amazing technologies that is impacting on every sector, from telecommunications to oil and gas, manufacturing. How has that journey been like for you for over 2 decades now?
Wow. It's been what a journey, what a story. It's actually about 25 years now, and the journey started 1999.
Interesting.
Actually, I was in university. So at that time, I went to, I studied civil engineering.
Yeah.
So in the 4th year, you have to go and do your industrial training. So I went to do my industrial training in an engineering company.
Sure.
And it was that was the first time, number one, that I was going to see a computer being used, because back then they would teach you everything, hand drawing and all that. And secondly, it was the first time that I saw something that I had never seen before, which was the internet. Because there we had a dial-up access to the internet. And for the first time, I just, the company had a subscription, so they would log in for 1 hour and we could see it. And I used the internet for the first time. And I could, just go online and ask it. Then there wasn't all these social media. It was just about web bots. And I could literally ask. In fact, I remember the very first website I went to was the Encarta Encyclopedia. It was online.
Okay.
And you could literally be clicking and be asking questions. And I just realized that a lot of the things that you would be reading about in books was now online. And it was almost as if it was personalized. I could go anywhere I wanted to go to. Then emails came. And in my mind, I just told myself that, this was the place I wanted to be in. This was a field. It was a new sector. It wasn't even as well known, So when I got back to school, I started a company.
Interesting.
I just said, you know what? I started a company. In fact, I almost failed out of school because I took it so seriously that even my parents were scared that, look, just finish this thing, because it was my final year. So I managed to graduate. In fact, my final year, I set up my first business. I got my first, job. In fact, one of the early cyber cafes, I went to University of Lagos and
Yes.
set it up. So that was when the journey started, and I found out that this tech field, because tech is a leveler. The truth is, what I realized is I studied civil engineering was a professional course. And I remember then seeing that the owners of the company were like in their 60s. The people that were working, the engineers were at that time, were in their late 40s, early 50s. And I saw that it was going to be a bit difficult to make it you had to go through step by step there to be, so you only become rich. I'm very ambitious. From time I've always, in fact, when in my secondary school, in my yearbook, I still have the picture when they were asking everybody what they wanted to be. You want to be a lawyer? You want to be a doctor? I just said I wanted to be a millionaire. Yeah. And it was written, they just captioned it, the guy who wants to be. Then there was billionaire wasn't popular, it was just millionaire, So they said the guy who wanted to be a millionaire, So I've always wanted to be that kind of ambitious person. So when I saw that tech field and I researched it, I just knew that, look, tech in Nigeria is the same as tech anywhere all over the world. The computer you use is the same thing they use over there. So if you master it, you can operate anywhere in the world. And that was how the journey, started. And, where we are today.
That's beautiful. Looking at what you said, starting a company while in university, that's quite a huge one. What did you see specifically, that made you think that you had what it takes to run the business?
Good question. When I was doing my IT, there was a guy then, we had computers, but those computers, we used to do technical drawing, and the engineers used to use the computers to do the technical drawing. There were two things. The computers were not networked together. Okay. And secondly, we had one big, massive plotter that used to plot the drawings. If you know engineering, you draw. So they used to plot it. So one day, the plotter got spoiled.
Okay.
And they called one young guy. The guy used to work in an oil company, but he had a side business where he fixes computers, he helps networks and to put networks together, and then he fixes anything that has to do with computers. So when he came to do the network, and then we had the plotter problem and he fixed it. And I remember that time, he charged 12,500 naira to fix that plotter. Back then in 1999. The salary of the most experienced engineer at that time in our company for 1 month was 40,000 naira.
Interesting.
So I now saw that this guy came to work for 1 day.
That's taking almost 1
and he got, yes. And these guys will work every day. The most experienced, that's what I'm telling you. The one that had the most experience was earning. So that means that there were actually engineers earning as much as what he got. So I now looked at it, I said, do I want to continue in this line, or I would learn this computer thing? So the next time he came, I now told him that, and then we didn't have computers that you could just go to the market to buy. You would go to the market, you buy the motherboard, you buy the hard disk, you buy the casing, you would now put it together and buy a monitor and attach. And that was what the company was doing. So every time they employed a new engineer, the guy would go to the market. So I now told him that next time, I just told him, privately, that when he's going, he used to go at the weekend. He should call me. I want to follow him. I want to go with him so that I can learn, how these things were being done. So the next time he was going, he called me. We went there together. We bought for the company. And I wanted to get mine. I told my mom that time, that I would like to get a computer, and I got the computer. And it was the one that put it together. So we went to buy the parts. And I saw that this was actually easy to make money in, because if you were good, and at that time it was the only one, so it was whatever amount he called that the company would pay. So that was what convinced me that if I learned this thing, so the first thing I learned was to put a computer together. So when I got back to University of Lagos, there was a guy who had just finished school. He had just graduated. So he wanted to set up a computer center, So I partnered with him. I said, look, we can build a cyber cafe. And those were the early days when cyber cafes were very popular. So we partnered together. We got a small space in Unilag, and we bought some, we put some fairly used computers together. We got internet, and we started giving internet to students. In fact, that time, what was reigning was something called net to phone. Back then, if you remember, in 1998, 1999, if you wanted to make international calls, you have to go and buy a Nitel card, 200 units, and it was very expensive. 1 minute was like 100 naira back then. So for the first time now, we set it up, and we told people that you could make calls over the internet, and you would not have to pay so much for it. So we had so many people coming. In fact, I think I hit my first million like when I was in school. I was really buoyant because of that technology. And then people started wanting to learn how to do. In fact, that time, Yahoo was giving free email, but we didn't tell people. So it was free. You could open it free. But we'll say, you know what? If you have someone abroad, and you wanted to receive later, tell the person to send an email to my email. I'll print it out for you, and you will pay for it. So I'll give you, but you could receive the message, immediately. Unlike back in the day when you had to write a letter and post it. We're charging them maybe like 200 naira per email. Some people, we were just making money left, right, center. So by the time I finished school, I already knew what I wanted to do. That I was going to start up a business by myself. I wanted to make money I didn't want to go the engineering route. I would just hustle it. And, and then back then too, in Ikeja, there was the computer village where things were. So I partnered with some guy too, who used to sell computers, bring it in. In fact, I almost got a shop there, but because I wasn't that kind of person to stay in one place, So over time, but there was a rude shock after I left school. When you're doing something, you know how it is when you're working in an organization and you're getting job offers because you're working in that organization. People are giving you that job, but as soon as you leave that organization, job offers stop coming. You were getting the job offers because you were there. People that say, this guy works in another company, so go for this interview. But as soon as there's nothing, the job offers just stopped. So when I left school, I didn't know that those businesses I was getting was because, of course, I was a student. Everybody was saying, as soon as I left school, and there was, university life is an exaggerated market. When you are in session, there's so many people in session. As soon as there's a holiday, there's almost nothing. So when I left school and after my, I had to go for NYSC, I just came back and I realized, okay, the money had dried up, So what I decided to do was to reinvent myself. I'm I network a lot with people. Whenever I know something, I let people know about it. That's why on my social media, you will see me there every day. I always like to, because I know that there's something I will say one day. You may not even be in my industry, but you will listen like, maybe next year when you want to do that thing, this guy talked about it last year, then you call me. So I had a friend there. His name is Rotimi. So when I came to school, we started up cipherKEY. I now told him that I can do this thing. There's this story about Richard Branson that said, look, never say no. When he started his airline, he had never operated an airline. So he just asked me, can I do this? I didn't know he went to tell his father. His father is a very rich man. He was a chemist in Magudu. So that's how they said they wanted to set up the biggest cybercafe in Magudu. That can I set it up for them? And so I went. I spoke to the father, but the father said I was too young. That time the project was like 2 million, and 2 million back then was a lot of money. That's how they said, I should go and bring a guarantor, to guarantee in case I mess up, they will pay them back. So I took my mother that, look, you're going to guarantee 2 million naira project. My mother was even first scared that, look, if you fail at this thing, I'm going to have to sell all the things I have to. Said, no, rough with it. So I employed one guy in my class, Matthew, and another guy who was even my senior. So we did the project together and it worked. And, I got back. Then after that, I now said I had to set up properly, to be able to. So those were my first, forays into technology. I just knew that technology, with the internet coming at that time, that it was going to change, the way people communicated, was going to change the way people interacted, and that was what led into getting into the field of tech.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, I would then leverage what you said now, looking at the internet, because the internet brought about so many opportunities, right? 2024, there's so many emerging technologies. Some of them already existed, but now they are more in the limelight. So AI, for example, has been there for the longest time, but you have generative AI now. So looking at AI, looking at blockchain, looking at IoT, what would you say the future holds leveraging those technologies for people that are into it?
Great question. That's a very great question. Now, every time new technology, you know that even the internet existed in the 70s. But you see, when technology...
It was one with the military.
Yes, it was DARPA. The Defense Advanced Research Project Agency.
Yeah.
So they were using it for military communication. You see, when a technology is about to go viral, you see what makes it go viral for a normal user is something simple. Imagine the internet, what made the internet very, very popular. In fact, let me start from the PC. What made the PC itself, the computer, what made it go viral was the advent of the graphical user interface. PCs existed way back, but you had to be a tech key to be able to use it. But when Microsoft came and just put graphics and you can use mouse to point and click, so it dumbed it down for even somebody who did not go. You can just point, open, this, close, copy, paste. So it made it go viral. Now think about the internet too. I always ask people, there are two fundamental things that made the internet go viral. Number one was the invention of the browser. When the browser came, you can now open and go to a web browser and put in a URL and it will load a page for you. Now, number two thing that actually made it go viral was the invention of a search engine. Think about it. Imagine using the internet without Google. Not many people will be on it, because how many websites can you remember in your head? But when Google came with, you can literally just put your thoughts in there, anything you're looking for, give me the best whatever, and it will give. It just made it go viral. So those two things, the browser is a very simple interface. Google, just when you go to their website, it's the simplest website online. So that was what made, the internet take off. And that's why Google is one of the biggest corporations today, because they just found a way to index the entire web and then you can search it. That's a fantastic opportunity.
Absolutely.
So the same thing with, now when we now have Web3, Web3, blockchain, AI, we are at the stage where the internet was in maybe 1999, 2000. We're at the stage where everybody, like you said, AI has existed since. But you see, what is making AI popular now is what? Generative AI.
True.
I can see it. I can generate pictures that I can never in my life dream of doing. I'm not an artist. I can create videos. I can just describe it. I want the picture of Obama wearing traditional outfits, and it will give it to me, and I'll marvel at it. That is why it's going viral. So it will take, and it's taking OpenAI. OpenAI did not invent artificial intelligence, but the people that, you see, there's a dichotomy, or there's a huge gap between the technology creator and the technology user. A technology creator is an engineer, somebody who thinks about something. But the person who would take it to market, who would say, look, this thing, you need to have a different creative mindset to be able to do that, which is what's open. So even we in technology, we are creatives. We are sort of because we take what is supposed to be black box and we bring it, to general masses. So at the point where we are now, we are still at the foundational stages of all this new technology. It's just going to take somebody that's just going to build an app that will just say, look, why do I need to go to the bank? We'll just build an app that will just sit in. I mean, right now, I'm just coming from a studio where banks are down. You can't even do transfer. You can't, you go to POS. Somebody will just build a very simple, brain-dead app. I can just sit here and you can transfer money and it will work, and everybody will start to use it. Just like WhatsApp. WhatsApp came and just built an app where you can sit. You don't have to think whether the person is in Timbuktu, or you just say it, you send the message, you are sure the person is going to, your message will not, it's all like text message you will send, you don't even get a feedback whether the text has delivered or not. Somebody just thought about it. Why does it have to be one-way communication? I can create something where I will send a message, I will be sure the message has, even if the person doesn't read it, I know the person has gotten it. When the person sees it, you will message back and it has, blurred those lines. The same thing is going to happen to Web3. And one of the things we want to do is we want to be at the, if possible, we want to even be the ones to make it happen, which is why we are driving, Web3 and blockchain as well as AI. Now we are now bringing it home to say, yes, everybody's using AI, ChatGPT and all that, but there is more to it. And that's what we are driving. And obviously we know that for people to adopt it, we need a lot of education. We need a lot of awareness. One of the things that Henry Ford said when he created the first internal combustion engine vehicle, people didn't know, because at that time they were just used to horse-drawn carriages. You just moved. They didn't even have roads. So what he did was he knew that for them to adopt his car, he needed to build the road. So he came first and he worked with government to build the road. So when you have the road, it's not easy for me to say, okay, well, what is going to ride on the road? So we are at the point where we're building the bridges, we're building the roads, we're connecting the dots, so that when it comes, we already have. So when we now say that this thing can happen, it makes it easy. So that's what we're trying to do with education as well.
That's beautiful. Looking at what you're doing currently with Bionic Box. When you compare that to ChatGPT, I mean, ChatGPT sort of is open to the web, but Bionic Box seems like it's sitting on a data that can be customized.
Yes.
How did that idea come about? What problem are you looking to solve with that?
Fantastic question again. Now, when the internet came, we had two. We had the internet and then we had the intranet. Now, at the time, internet was public. You could go to Google. Now, but organizations didn't want their internal people to query. So they created an intranet where you can search the organization's database for records. So Bionic Box is like that. While OpenAI and ChatGPT is like what you have for the internet for everybody. When you go to ChatGPT and you ask it, please write me a story. Number one, you don't know the data that it's been trained on. So that data is probably public, so it will give you whatever. But this one, we're not saying, look, there's more use to which you can put it. If you go to every organization, if you go to financial, they have data that they have been curating since. Some of this data they can't put online because they are proprietary. Now, but if you have this data, they are not really deriving intelligence from that data. So in order for you to derive intelligence, you need to put it in something that will connect the dots, that will connect the pattern, that will connect, so it is that Bionic Box that we are now saying would serve as that connection. So instead of you just asking generic question, you are asking it on the data that belongs to you, that you have. So imagine let's even use one of the examples I like to use it. Let's look at traffic situation in Lagos now. Now, you see, why do we have traffic and why can't we solve the traffic problem? And we think AI can do it because if you have data, so if you go to Ministry of Transportation and Ministry of, Lagos State Ministry of Roads and all that, they have data on the number of roads we have in Lagos, the number of 3-lane roads, the number of 4-lane roads, the number of 2-lane roads, the number of 1-lane roads, the number of intersections, the number of traffic lights, that we have, everything that we have. Now, that data is there. Now, why don't you put that data in AI? Now, if you notice that if you go to some intersections, even days like when, the road is supposed to be free, you see that the traffic light is always the same. If they set it up for 120 seconds, it is always 120 seconds, whether it is rush hour or... But imagine you now feed all that data into AI and you tell it to find patterns. So you find out that instead of it being 120 seconds every time, you could actually set it in off-peak periods. Let it be 120 seconds. But when there is rush, you reduce it to maybe 10 seconds so that traffic can, flow better, easily. But you see, a human being cannot connect the dots. It's an AI. That AI will now work on that traffic data, the road network. So you feed it a road network data. And then you now have, maybe if you go abroad, you find out that there are some roads that they open, in the morning when there's traffic, they open the other side that's supposed, because there aren't many people. So instead of having 4 lanes here, 4 lanes there, and then in the morning when there's traffic, you open 2 lanes on that side, combine with the 4 lanes here, you make it 6 lanes, then you leave one. What's driving that is information, is pattern recognition, it's recognizing that it's intelligence that you are getting. So what Bionic Box does is you feed in all that data and you can make, decisions. You can make,
and draw insights
from it, and you can even query it in natural language. The problem before, you said something at the beginning that we've had AI for a long time. We've had AI, yes, in the form of machine learning, but that was on data that was structured. So if you have data in Excel, for instance, it's structured data. You have rows, you have columns. Now, but if I have data that is not in Excel, data that is handwritten, how do I for instance, now if everybody here, probably we all have maybe resumes and CVs, right? The way you write your resume is different from mine, so we have 4. But guess what? It is semi-structured in that no matter how much you write your CV, you still have your name there, you have your experience, you have the school you went to, you have your accomplishments, you have contact details. Those things will be generic to everybody. The way we put it and it's how you put it. So generative AI has now come to say, okay, we now have something that can now analyze unstructured data and make it structured, because by human beings only understand something. That's why we always find patterns in something. Even it's everywhere. If something happens to you now, whether good or bad, you think, oh, maybe it's a prayer you prayed yesterday. If it's bad, you think we always try to find pattern. We always try to make something. If I see shape of something in the sky now, maybe it's the heart symbol or God telling me He loves me. We always try to, and that's the way human beings are. So when that's why generative AI is very popular, because you now have pattern. You can now use your natural language to generate, something that is, that has a semblance, which is what the bionic box, and we have the online one, which is the reactor, which is the cloud one. They are the same thing, but one is in the cloud, one is a box. So that's what led to that invention, to say, okay, you know what, I think we can push this to the market, and we think it's something the market needs, and it's something that people can use to, derive intelligence from data, and the market response has been incredible as well.
Beautiful. That's quite interesting, because when you're explaining it, I was just thinking about it, that would solve so many problems, because obviously there's data, but what we've seen in the past is that data just is in silos and they're not being leveraged. But with the bionic box, businesses can begin to make projections, can even predict,
Absolutely.
predict what the outcome of a business can be in a couple of years, leveraging the data. And even the government itself can better make the country a lot more better with that solution. I think that's super fantastic, and well done to you. For somebody listening to us, that does not understand what blockchain means, how would you explain blockchain to such persons, and what role do you think blockchain play in education and also in the field of marketing?
Fantastic. So why was blockchain even invented? Blockchain came about in 2008 in the financial crisis. What happened? You see, as we are sitting down here, do you know that whatever it is that you think you own, you don't own it? Because there's a difference between ownership and control. Now, you may think here that, you own you own 1 million, 10 million in the bank account. You see, but what you don't own it, you only control it. And when you control something, somebody has to give you a right to that thing. So right now, even if you have 10 million and you go to an ATM machine and you put your card and money doesn't come out, it is not you, it's the bank that owns it. Right now, everybody's complaining that banks are, network is down. You have money, but you cannot use it. That's not ownership. So when we had that financial crisis, somebody thought about it, that, come on, I can send email from Nigeria to America, anywhere in the world, and the person will receive it immediately. But right now, as you're sitting down here, you can't send money from Nigeria to America and they will receive it. And secondly, the money that you think you have, you've delegated control. Somebody has to give you the right. That's why banks will tell you have spending limits on your money. The money you work for, do you know how I work for? You have limits on something that I own. No, you shouldn't work like that. So he said, how do we do this? So he invented blockchain. Now, the blockchain model is simple, very, very simple. We already have a physical version of blockchain, which is cash. If you have ₦1 billion on you now, there's no spending limit. You own it. Nobody can control it because it's on you. If you want to pay, you have it. We already have that cash. So when you go, and then secondly, cash disintermediates trust. So that means that if you meet someone for the first time today, let's say you are selling a product and the person comes to your shop to buy something and he gives you cash, you don't have to care who the person is, whether he stole the money or the trust is in the currency. So you don't care. The trust is in that thing, not the person that is giving to you. Now you see, but online, you see, the limitation of cash is that the people doing the two transactions have to be
together
in the same
place.
But when you go online, it becomes difficult. That's why we have banks and fintechs and all that, because now somebody has to guarantee that if you want to pay, if you go to a website and you want to buy something, somebody has to guarantee that you have the money that you are going to pay. That's where the intermediate. That's why you have credit and then you have debit. So it just came about and said, why do we have to give this bank? And then when we don't even know that, you know today that if everybody decides to go to a bank and collect all their money, banks will collapse because they do fractional. They won't have money to pay. They don't have money in the reserve because they don't have the money. But you put your money there. So that's why he now said, why can't we delegate that control to the user? Instead of putting the trust in a third party, can I put it on a user, on a human being? And that's how the blockchain became. I just created a mechanism, just like we have cash, where I can do a transaction with somebody without knowing the person, knowing fully well that that trust is in that currency. Now, and if you see the business model of the internet, it's a bit like bank. we all use all this social media. Who is making the money? If I take a picture and I put it on social media. It's the social media owner, and it's Mark Zuckerberg and all these people that are making all the money from my picture, because they've created a platform where I cannot reap. Even YouTube, if I put video now, YouTube will determine how much they will pay me. So that business model, especially like you said, in other fields, is you can now be a custodian of whatever. So you can now, it's no longer about having control, you now have ownership. It now belongs to you. You can now control it. So what blockchain has done is, imagine a situation where you have a social media account and you have like a lot of followers. Right now, if you have a lot of followers, apart from maybe if you become an influencer or you become a digital marketer and you're selling to there is no way you can reap from. But if you have a control and you have those users, and secondly, another thing is, if you have, let's say on Instagram, you have 1 million followers, you can't take those 1 million followers to Twitter with you.
It's impossible.
Yes, it is impossible. You always have to go and say, please follow my account. Now, blockchain has now come to say that those followers, if you open another social media account, because the trust is now in you, so wherever you move, they follow you. So the thing is now on you. It's no longer on the person that is rendering the service. I can tell you that 20 years ago, if somebody had the idea to start a company like Uber or Airbnb, people will say it won't work, because how do I sit in my house? I say, I will just come and I will sit in when I don't know the driver. What if he has a gun? What if he has this? A lot of businesses in the world, if you think about it, they are all rent seeking, even banks. What AI will do is it will make somebody who is already good in that field become extremely powerful. And imagine in the next 5 years, even the AI we're seeing now will have branches. The same thing if you have a video, and not now. And then another thing is censorship resistance. Banks can easily censor you. Social media can easily censor. If you do something now, they delete. How many times do we hear that they've deleted people's accounts on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and all that, because they control the source? But on the blockchain, because blockchain has come to take away this the middleman. That's why
decentralized.
That's what they call it.
Liquid ledgers.
Exactly, it has decentralized. So there is no central point of control. There is no central point of failure. You talk directly with you. That's why I'm very big on crypto as well, because I know if I send crypto to you, there is nobody that can stop that transaction. That's why a lot of banks and governments don't like it, because whatever government cannot see into, cannot censor, it will not pass. But because, unfortunately for them, by the time they woke up to the technology, a lot of people had already, adopted it. And one fantastic use case for even those kind of things is cross-border. Right now, you can be here, just like you can send an email to anybody in the world. Nobody can. You send your money to anybody in the world, and they receive it. The same thing is happening now. We are now having decentralized social media. We're having decentralized market. So such that right now, if you have 1 million followers, you can take those 1 million because they are yours. You can take it to any organization and say, look, I have that. Nobody can take those followers from you. They cannot unilaterally shut you down. And then you can go and use it to secure businesses. You can use it to do marketing. And then you can now profit directly from even. So imagine, so think about a situation where now with YouTube, if you have 1 million views on your video, you depend on YouTube. So imagine a situation where for every time you have a view, the money comes directly to you. Whatever it is, the advertising, it comes every time somebody clicks a view. The advertiser would have a wallet. And if they say, look, every time any of your followers, any of your subscribers, if they watch this thing, we'll pay you 1 cent. And then you have 10 million views. That's 100K. That will come directly to you. So you can actually know how much. Unlike now, you see some videos, you have 1 million views, it will give you $2,000. And you have some that there is no transparency. Blockchain brings about. So there's a whole lot. But like I said at the beginning, there's a whole lot because technical people understand it. It will take someone, just like it took Mark Zuckerberg to show us that internet is not just for email, and he created social media. He created the first, maybe Facebook, and that's when we started hearing about user-generated content. Before, The content on the internet was put there by companies. So if you wanted to find information, somebody has to put it there. But now he just said, we can disintermediate. And look at him today, billionaire. Twitter too came and said, okay, everybody's putting pictures and videos on YouTube. Can I create one that is micro-blogging? Just micro text. Just send a message. Instead of sending message to one-on-one, just send it and people who are on your your thoughts. And look at them today. So it will take somebody to, if you look at those business models, they're actually very simple.
Yeah.
If you actually think about, one day I sat down and I'm like, a lot of these Oyibo businesses, they actually, when we were young, at least in my own day, when you come to my house, you would have albums. So when visitors come, you have all these big albums or your pictures, you look at it. All Mark Zuckerberg did was just to put it online. Now, you can just take picture, put it online. Anybody that is following you will just be seeing your video of your holiday, your wedding, or whatever. As hot, he just did. He just put what we're used to. The same thing with cryptocurrency. They just put money that we already used to, just digitize it and put it online. And the person that created Bitcoin is worth billions today. So if you think about it, we just need someone who will be creative and come up with a unique business model for that Web3 and blockchain that people will be like, okay. But right now, apart from cryptocurrency and a few other places where we are seeing it, somebody has not yet come. People have tried, doing this and that. But until something catches on, yes, crypto, especially with the, that one has caught on, but it's still financial. But we're looking for someone that will build the, social media of Web3. We're looking for someone that will build the, the email of Web3 that people are using. We're looking for people that will build the WhatsApp of Web3. Those are the, and it's not necessarily that it has to be WhatsApp, something we're used to. It might be an idea that and look at what the internet brought about. Like, I can tell you that 20 years ago, if somebody had the idea to start a company like Uber or Airbnb, people will say it won't work, because how do I sit in my house? I say, I will just come and I will sit in there when I don't know the driver. What if he has it gone? What if he has this? But look at it today. How you go to a house where you've never stayed, like somebody, you don't know who slept there yesterday and then. But today now, the internet has disintermediated a lot of those things, such that anybody, gig economy, you don't even have to own the car. You don't have to own the house that you're renting. Just create a platform where you just take a cut of whatever they're making, and that's it. Some people don't even have offices. So that's what technology would, and that's why I am in it, because I know that someday it may even be us that would think of, which is why we are doing bionic box and for AI, that look, there would be someday somebody who, government might want to say, look, let's digitize all. Yes, we're still manual level now. Every time manual, paper. Let's digitize this still. Let's digitize it and put it behind an AI, so that when people query, something, we just give, just ask it in English, what is blah, 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 and it will give it to you. Easy. Like that. And that's what we're trying to push as well.
That's beautiful. You've talked about Web 3.0 a couple of times. For some of our viewers, they don't understand what Web 3 is. So Web 3 was an evolution from Web 2.0, which came from Web 1.0. Web 1.0 was basically just text-based, one internet page that you just go to. Web 2 came with interaction.
Yeah.
What is Web 3 about?
Okay, so Web 1, like you said, was static. So what we are using now is Web 2. So Web 2 is where you create content, but you don't own the content. So you create a video, you put it on YouTube, you don't own it. You create content on LinkedIn or Facebook, you don't own it. That's Web 2. Somebody else is using, that's why they like, they say if the product is free, then you are, if they're giving you the service free, then you are definitely the product. So they sell these things to other people. So if Facebook will say, there are 1 billion users, and then advertisers will come running, because they are leveraging that data.
Yeah.
But Web 3 is now saying, no, whatever content you create belongs to you. It doesn't belong to a third party. So you can directly monetize that content. You can directly be you will reap the benefits of, whatever user you have. So the platform is just going to be a platform that gives you access, but the content, when you create the content and you have users using your content, you will reap. So the focus has now left the third party. It is now on you directly, and then you own the content, you own the users, you own all the benefits that come with it, and then you cannot be deplatformed. Nobody can censor you. It's censorship resistant, and it's cross-border. Anybody from anywhere can do. So that's what Web3, that's why it's big. But you see, anytime there is something that is about to disrupt the incumbents, they usually have problems. I'll give you another example is Skype. When the internet came, a company created, a Norwegian company created a small app where you can make phone call from anywhere without using traditional phone lines and all that. Do you know that a lot of the big telcos in America, AT&T, they took them to court? Because, this is our daily bread. So if you're telling somebody that you can just sit on the computer and make phone call over the internet without passing through PSTN, that's the telephone lines, how are we going to make money? So there's always resistance to a lot of these things. You cannot come and say the way we've been doing things. So that's why when people now start understanding Web3, that no, people, they now try to repress it and say, shut it down, and no, this kind of thing cannot work like this, because it's almost like you are disintermediate. And you see a lot of businesses in the world, if you think about it, they are all rent seeking, even banks. How do banks think about it? If you go around VI now, the biggest buildings you see belong to banks. The easiest business to do in this world is rent seeking. It's just know Mr. A and B, and they merge them together and take a cut. It's brain dead. And that's why banks make a lot of money, because imagine they take money from you. They say, okay, we'll give you 5%. Then they look for somebody who wants to loan the money. They loan the money to the person at maybe 20%. They make 15%. The money does not belong to them. It's your money. The person that's come to, and they just sit in between, and like clockwork. When you go to an ATM, you put an ATM card from your. You see, the model is such. The example I like to use is if I sit here and I have 1,000 naira and I give it to you, and you give it back to me, and we can do that a million times, and to start 1,000 naira will still remain. But if I go online and I transfer 1,000 naira to you, maybe by the time it gets to you, you see 990. You transfer it back to me, it becomes 980. I transfer it back to you, it becomes 970. After a while, that 1,000 vanishes. Where has it gone?
Charges.
Banks. Without doing nothing. We're just doing transfer, sending back. The same thing I can do cash, that the 1,000 will still remain. So that money has fizzled. It's gone to other people's pocket. And that is a wonderful business model. So if you come with any idea that wants to disrupt that business model, they would almost want to crush it. And that's what is happening with Web3. But over time, when people start to see that, look, when eventually people, even emails, there were days when emails came and post offices wanted to crush it, because they were in the business of sending letters. You write letter, you put it in an envelope, you put stamp, you have to buy stamp. They were making money from letter. It's man in the middle. It's a man in the middle business. It's rent seeking. But now, when email came, I can now send email to you. But I like that industry because they quickly moved on to sending parcels. They say, yeah, come on, let me see how you send parcels via the internet. So eventually business models will change, and that's what we want to do. And it takes a long time. Like I said, if you want to disrupt, you have to first build the road.
Yeah.
You have to first build that road. And then when you build the road and people see that there is a road, it's not easy for you to now say, oh yeah, let's put car and all that on it. So that's it. That's the process.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I think that's quite an impactful one that I think even generation unborn will sort of benefit from. Same way internet is sort of making, groundbreaking success stories for people.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to touch on something very quickly. The past few years with AI coming and generative AI coming, there's so much talk around AI is going to take our jobs. What do you think about that?
AI is not going to take our jobs. Okay, it's going to take away some jobs that shouldn't even exist in the first place. You see, a lot of us we thrive in just doing the mundane. AI, as I am now, you are in the media. No matter how much I know AI, I cannot use AI to generate concepts that you will generate. What AI would do is it would make somebody who is already good in that field become extremely powerful. So right now, you already have ideas, AI, they're saying AI can, it won't. It will just make someone. So if you're already good in a field, so you're already a lawyer, who knows how to draft agreements. Now, AI can draft the agreement easily for you, but you have to know the terms to put, jurisprudence, correspond, if I'm not a lawyer and AI drafts an agreement for me, how do I know that the agreement itself is even tenable? But if I am already a lawyer, I can just simply give it some information and it will draft the agreement. But I have to already be a lawyer. I can't be, for instance, they're saying AI is generating beats, music, composing. If I'm not a producer, I'm not a beat maker, how do I know
How to query it?
Exactly what I would even use? What will sound? It's a producer who is already used to making beats. It's just going to make his job a lot faster. And what people are also failing to realize is that when they say AI is going to take a job, they are forgetting that if it takes away some jobs, there are new jobs that we had not even thought of. Let me tell you about when the internet came, people said it too, that people that, even computers, people that were using typewriters, the receptionists in the, secretarial, there was even school of shorthand. Yeah, there was even school of secretarial studies back then. Wow, these people going to, so they repressed it. But guess what? When computers came, it brought, that's why now we now have computer engineering even in schools. Internet became something big. Do you know without the internet, we won't even have, everybody's talking about Java, Python, programming languages, software engineering. How would you study software engineering when it now brought about so many things that before it was only civil, chemical, mechanical. Now we have software engineering, we have computer engineering. So look at all the jobs that it has brought up. In fact, if you go and check the Forbes rich list, you see a lot of top people are actually in software, development. And that's so AI itself, yes, it will take some jobs away, but it will create brand new jobs. Just like when Henry Ford started creating cars as well, he took all those horse riders, but now from car alone, you have driver, you have mechanic, you have car wash, person that will wash the car, you have some person that will service it, you have all sorts of things built, you have insurance industry that will insure the car, you have look at, just by creating a car, look at the other jobs, you have financiers that will finance you by. It has affected it has created new jobs that you would probably never have had if we're still using horse-drawn carriages. So a lot of people are seeing that it will take jobs, it will now create, I can imagine in the next 5 years, even the AI we're seeing now will have branches. You have even people studying marketing AI. You'll be surprised that there will be courses like industrial AI, communications AI, things that we have not imagined. So that's what people should be focusing on. And people are lazy because they don't want to upskill. Look, the only thing that will save you is upskilling. Whatever industry you are in, just make sure you are upskilling, yourself. You're learning new technology, whether it is relevant to you now or not. Look at ordinary what the mobile phone did to us in Nigeria. I remember there was a time when people used to say, if you go to Ghana, even taxi men were driving, we're having mobile phone. Look at what. In fact, if you imagine it, how would I have met you without something like that? Look at the transformation. Market woman, you can easily call your gate man if you forget to close your door. Adamu, please let me close this thing, because of just one invention, one piece of technology that has changed. I mean, back in the day, if I wanted to go and visit a friend, I won't know whether the person is around, or I'll have to drive all the way there, that they will tell me, oh, he's not at home. But now, there's some people I've not seen in like 5 years. But it looks like we just saw because of WhatsApp, because we chat, we see our status updates. So it looks like we're communicating. So that's what technology would shrink things that, it would shrink a decade, something that you should achieve in a decade, it would shrink it to 1 year. So what people should do is, rather than focusing on it will take my job, whatever you are doing now, maybe you should start going to how will AI disrupt me? If you are in the industry where maybe data entry, AI is going to take your job. There's no doubt, because AI is going to do it faster, better, cheaper.
True.
It's going to do it. True. Can you write faster than AI? No. You cannot do. Can you write? I mean, I sit down something that he writes, he can generate 1,000 emails for me. I will just go out my bag, come back, it has finished this. But you can't do that. If you are getting paid to do that, just on that. So what you'll be doing is, whatever it is you want to do, look at how, if you're a producer, if you are in marketing, if you're in communications, if you're a doctor, look at how AI is going to infuse your industry. Go to conferences, go to events, go to, go online, YouTube, watch videos, see how you can. And then, who is to say that you can't even switch careers? In fact, one of the things that we are targeting, that's why when we speak to students, because we know that next AI is a general purpose technology. Just like when the internet came, the best programmer I have ever seen in my life studied English. And the person just came with the mindset that I read English university is a language. If I go into software, this programming language, I will just need to learn the syntax. I need to learn and I already know how to learn syntax. And it's like somebody who learned how to drive a car. I can if I want to drive a lorry today, yes, I may need to learn one or two things, but I already know the basics. And she became phenomenal programmer reading English language because she came. So who is to tell you that you cannot change career from being what you're doing and then using AI to? That's why we're taking it to school. We're taking it to the grassroots and say, this AI, anybody, it is general purpose. The people that are building, some of them are background is a dropout. Even Bill Gates that created Windows operating, they are dropping. This is the field that I think, in fact, one of the reasons when I got into it is the only field in the world where they'll ask you if you have 5 or 10 years experience. If you are good, if you can manipulate this camera to do something, as I'm here and I close my eyes and you take it all over the world, and people will not ask you what you graduated with. They will just see it and that's it. That's what technology does. So that's what we're saying. It will not take your job, but you have to upskill, and then you also have to get into the groove. There's no need. You're hearing technology and you are sitting by the side. No, you also have to follow the trend. But look at how it will affect you in your industry. And where you see that AI will take away some even industries, as we know, just like the internet. Look at now. I went to speak to some journalists, a few weeks ago. When the internet came, they didn't align. They thought, and you are seeing that ordinary person can own a blog now and do what you have been doing for years. You don't have to study mass comm. You can fight it, you can resist it, but it will not stop it. And the people that look at almost every newspaper, and how many times do you see vendors selling newspapers now? It's taking that job. Now, even the newspapers are all online. You can read any newspaper, any magazine online.
From anywhere in the world.
From anywhere in the world now. So any newspaper that is saying, we still want to go the old way, you're wasting your time. A normal person, we've heard of bloggers that are billionaires. They just started blogging.
Correct.
And they are billionaires. On Instagram, they're using from people who just be taking picture. They don't even have their own content, and the people are going to them too. So if you don't take it on board, you will be disrupted. You will be swept. In 5 years' time, you will wake up and you have nothing. So what we're saying is, we will take anybody. It doesn't matter. It's not just for techies. It's not just for even an executive, a mechanic. Anybody can use AI. You can take the picture. Like one time, I was having a problem with something in my car. I just took the picture of the thing and I posted it on AI. That look, this is and the thing told me just a picture of this. Okay, they say I should change this. I just took a picture and explained everything, what to do out from a picture. I mean, like, that means that if mechanics are not
blowing.
And the same thing is going to happen even in the car industry. I was talking to one of my mechanics the other time that, look, you better go and start learning. Very soon now, all these petrol cars, people start using electric cars that they have no engine. So what are you going to be fixing? Any car has no engine. It's now electric, no transmission. So if you don't upskill, but we have a mindset here that it will not happen. It will not happen. It will not happen. But I'm saying now that yes, it has not happened, but go and start learning the nuances of electric vehicles, because one day you will just wake up with all this fuel wahala. It will just take one person to import en masse cheap electric vehicles, and people will just say, you know what, we are tired of this fuel problem, and people will just start buying electric vehicles. What would happen to you? You're out of business. And so that's the same thing with technology.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I like the fact that you touched on various areas that actually relate to various fields. And you also sort of buttressed the point that AI technology is critical, for people to evolve with, so that in the future they have something to work with. I want to touch on something very quickly, and I'll dial back. What was growing up like for you as a person?
I was unruly. I was not smart. A lot of people see me now. I'm not book smart. I'm not and I'll tell I mean, there's so many people that I see and I think they're phenomenal. Sometimes I wish I had their brains, but I'm not left brain, I'm right brain. I'm more, I can't sit down and read it. In fact, I read on the computer. And it used to worry my mom because I didn't used to do well in school. I used to, in fact, at some point I was expelled, rusticated, because obviously, like, you want to please your parents, and when you're not smart, you find means cheating. Yeah, and I was caught. And like I said, even in my final year, it was literally prayer that they used to pray to let me to finish. Because as soon as I discovered computing, I'm the kind of person. Even this AI, you see, I know what it will be in 5 years. But you see, the journey getting there, not a lot of people will see it. So they will be, and people, the way we are, and that's why not even white people, Americans, and that's why I like 2 countries in the world. I like Dubai and I like America, because those are the places where, you see, they don't care if you fail. The only thing with our educational system, the 2 things that in life that you need to succeed, they don't teach it in school. Number 1, teamwork. You see, when you go to school, you're expected to sit, write the exam, pass it, cram everything yourself, no cheating, no communication. But the real world doesn't work like that. You cannot start a media company and be only you every day will be talking. No, even if you are talking, you need somebody to watch you. So you need to you need to interact, you need to network, you need to meet people, you need to do teamwork, you need to call, as we are here now, cameraman, lighting, this, that. You can't do it, but they don't teach it in school. So when you are out of school, you now find it difficult to now mingle. That's why a lot of first class people hardly do well. Yes, even if they do well, they probably go through the ranks and but they don't, because they are not used to speaking with people. They are smart in their head. The school has taught them that once you can solve this problem, you will be great. And then you get outside and you find out that even in your house, your roof is leaking. You can't even fix it. You need to call somebody. Your light is, but they are not used to it. And another thing they don't teach us, I said teamwork. And another thing they don't teach us is ability to what's the second one?
Solve problem.
No. Teamwork and creativity. So I am they believe they only teach us the left brain, and then they don't teach us how to use what we have to actually to monetize, to say, okay, I know this thing, I can solve this math problem, but how do I use it to
solve a real life problem?
Solve a real life problem.
But even generate money, revenue.
Exactly, and that's why you see there's this saying that they say professors, no matter how much they know more and more about less and less until they know everything about nothing. Because they know. You see some professors, they vibrate, but you see their shoe, nothing. They don't even have cars. I'm wondering why. Because they do not imbibe in us. So when I was growing up, I knew what I wanted to do, but people couldn't say it. So it was more school. So my growing up was hectic. It was chaotic. It was toxic. It was always, because I wasn't doing well in school. And when you're not doing well in school, it will be very, very...
It just touches on every other thing in life.
Everything. So they don't even see any other thing you are doing. To them, it is that school. It doesn't even matter if, because when I was in school too, I used to take up things like I could beat the drum, I could do a bit of creative art, but all that was paled into even when you're doing well, you have to be doing well in specific, like mathematics. Physics. Don't be saying you're doing well in Yoruba. You still like all those. It also, and it was as I grew up that I learned that, look, a lot of our parents too, it was almost like a bragging, right? They want to use us to brag. That's why even up to today, my son is a doctor, my son is making money. But what I've discovered about life is it's bottom line. You have to do something that impacts. And when I realized that was when I got into the computer field. And I'm just a bit maybe lucky, or that I had a mom, it was raised by a single mom as well, that who saw that, okay, I could become something, so even when I was rusticated in school, she changed my school to a private school. So I ended up finishing at Atlantico. And for the first time was when I was exposed to, when you're in, when you're like 100 in class, 200, you won't even, so when I went to Atlantico, that was the first time I was seeing.
That was secondary school?
Yes, secondary school. I was like, okay. I was now in the midst of there were like maybe 15, 20 in class. The lecturer had one-on-one. In other schools, it was almost like, when you fail, it was bragging right for the lecturer. Yes, people can pass my course. But in this other place, I was like, okay, they actually wanted to make you pass. They were after your welfare. So I learned a lot about other aspects that were not really that. Okay, you need to network, you need to know people, so I learned to be creative. I learned to reach into, even before I got into university, I already was being creative. I used to write a lot. When I have things to write, I'll write it. I'll be creative. I already knew, which is why in my final year in my university, my secondary school, when they asked what I wanted to become,
So you want to become a
I
millionaire?
just wanted to become a millionaire. I didn't know what I was. People said doctor, lawyer, aeronautic. I just wanted to become a millionaire. Even up till today, I still, in I still look at someone like Elon Musk. That's why you see me, I pilot to, because I said, if these people can do it, I have so many, even in my mind now, as I am in my head. But sometimes you just have to pace yourself as well, because you are dealing with people, and it's not everybody that will see your vision. It's not everybody that will know where you're going. It's like when I got into, we're talking about crypto the other time. From day one, when I learned about blockchain, every single money I made, and I'll be very honest with you, every single money, the only thing that I bought, which was even before I really got into crypto, was when I bought my car, the G-Wagon 10 in 2015. But as soon as I got it, I knew this thing, it was going to blow. But I told people, I was saying it. I was even, if you go to my Facebook page, I was right up. I said, look, for you people, this is, I will read, because I saw something. I saw that it wasn't just currency, it was a piece of technology. And if you read technology, it's like when you just see something and it's like me, I know that very soon, all these cars come back to in 25 years time with us EVs. Nobody's going to be driving. Filling stations, they're all going out of business. Forget all this one that Dangote is running. Yes, is for now, obviously, for now is a short, medium, and long term. In the next 5-10 years, you will already start to see electric vehicles. It just takes one imaginative person to create an EV for the African market. That will be cheap, that will be cheap. People will rush it, so all these filling stations will go there. For oil will become, that's why if Nigeria is not careful, we may have no means to make revenue. So we have to invest in tech, in other things like creative sector. If you look at it now, the creative sector is making, but they have to literally build it from scratch. So that's what is going to happen. So that's how my growing up was. And then I started business. I went to university, finished, went to serve, and then from there I have been, on the roads, hustling, trying to make, put one and one together. But I see that tech is the easiest thing you can do that will give you leverage, because in life you need leverage. I have studied every successful person in the world, every billionaire there is in the world. I have studied them. What you do with your hand is just fuel because it's not linear. You don't become successful linearly you become. Before COVID, Elon Musk was just a normal regular person, but you have to do something that will give you leverage, that will just move you from point one. And they always say that the hardest thing to do is to get from 0 to 1. But as soon as you get to 1, moving from 1 to 2, you find out that maybe to make 1 million now, you have to do so many things. But when you have 1 million, it becomes easier to make another 1 million. Then from another 1 million, it becomes easier to make 10 million. It becomes, why? Because you need to set, the foundation. So when you have that foundation, you won't even know. At some point, you just wake up and you'll be like, okay, now maybe this, that kind of thing. But you have to, that period between 0 and 1, it can take you 5 years, it can take you 10 years. But between 1 and 2, it might just take you maybe 1 month or 2 months, because you've already foundation. It's like this baobab tree that they say in China, where you put the seed in the ground, you will come back 5 years, nothing has come out. But by the 6th year, you just come out. The 6th year, like you just see, you just be like, but I was here last And that's the thing. It's like some buildings, when they are building it, you will not even know when they are doing the foundation. Like, and one day you just pass by, you say, what was here before? And that's how it is. And that's my mantra. And I think that if everybody, puts in that work at the beginning and not get distracted, not get sidelined, but you need to put in the work. You need to put in the work.
Critical.
Yeah.
Critical. Thanks for sharing. What values or ethics, do you say you sort of worked with that has gotten to the stage where you are now today?
You have to be honest with people. You have to be transparent. You have to be fair. You have to be, you don't cut corners. It's very easy to cut corners. I mean, I worked in cybersecurity for a very long time. And when you're in cybersecurity, and the aspect of cybersecurity I worked in was the aspect we call the white hat hacking.
Okay.
So we're the people that will go into banks and hack into banks, steal money, like, get their money and then tell them that, these are loopholes, this is fixing it and all that. Now you find out that when you're in that kind of field, you get a lot of offers. You get a lot of people who want to do some nefarious thing. Like, I mean, there was one time somebody sent a message to someone I know, and the person knew someone who was working in a telco, was in the data center of a telco. And there was, I think, was a politician. This was like maybe 2010. I even wrote about it. It's on my Facebook, that the man told the person who was working in telco that, look, he wants to know every phone number that is calling his wife's number. You see, when you work in telco, there's something they call the CDR, call detailed record, but you can't see it. It's only, so you can, that CDR means that as you are making a call now, all the calls you are making, they're seeing who you are calling, who is calling you, what messages you are sending. So the man told this guy that, look, if you can give me any number, all the numbers, obviously he didn't trust his wife or something, that's calling, I'll pay you X amount of money. And obviously the person walked in the house and now said, man, there's job, there's work, we met at a hotel. He said, can I hack into the CDR and get that? The man is willing to pay, I think, can't remember how much that time. Sometimes you will be tempted, especially if you're just starting, but I just said, no, we don't do that kind of thing. And that's it. He was disappointed, and all that. We had several offers, that kind of thing. Those kinds of offers where people will, you have this skill. In fact, one time somebody who was even about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we want to hack into somebody's Facebook account. And I'm like, no, we cannot do that. I'm sorry. So you have to make, if you compromise at some point, it's unforgiven. It's there. From then on, you start to derail, because at every point in time, somebody would use it to say, is not this guy that, even to the extent that even if you want to, let's say, for instance, now, you actually arrest a thief, okay? Let's say and you say, can you hack into the thief's phone? I won't do it. Even if, because there's something called ethical hacking. And ethical hacking means that it's not moral. It's like it's ethical. You're doing this thing. Yes, it's like somebody who, these American guys, what do they call them, that learn how to shoot very well? Snipers. That's it, because you learn how anybody that now talks to you anyhow, gun them down. No, it's a professional service. If I'm doing it, I know that you are giving me the right to do it, and I'm signing an agreement, and we are paying, and it is like, we're doing it officially as white hats, not black hats. So you have to be ethical, you have to be transparent. When you deal with people, transparency, you have to be honest with them. You have to, don't cut corners. If you have business dealings, with people, whatever you say you give them, or whatever they're entitled to, So those are the values. And we try to also teach our staff that, in fact, we adopted there's a bank that when you get employed, they will take you to Kirikiri. And they'll take you around to say, look, if you commit fraud, this is where you are going, and then you interact with the, do you want to end up like this? And some of the inmates will be telling you, it's only 5 naira that I moved through, I only changed 1 0. So we are so that when you see that look, the only true wealth in this world, apart from health, is freedom. Doesn't matter how much you have. If you're always constantly looking behind, who is going to shoot me? Who did I cheat? It's freedom. When you have freedom, you wake up, you do whatever you want to do. You don't necessarily have to have I don't see it in terms of cash. I just think because it's a tool. Money is a tool. No matter how much billions, if you're constantly under pressure, if you're constantly, you can't even spend it. You're thinking, your family here, whether somebody is freedom. When you truly have freedom, and the only way you can truly have freedom is when you give unto Caesar what Caesar, and you promise them, you give them, not that you cheat somebody and then you're watching your back. So that's the value. Trust. You have to be trustworthy. You have to be transparent.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. For a young boy, young girl seated, behind their phone or laptop or the TV screen at home, that wants to become maybe an ethical hacker like yourself, wants to study cybersecurity, or wants to go into blockchain or AI, what would be your advice to such people?
It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. If I think about what I've gone through, it's a lot. You see the thing, and when you're going through the work, you see the work in hindsight, but when you are doing it, you don't truly see that what you're doing. It's later when you now be like, wow, that was a lot. It's a lot of work. Sometimes it's a lot of grunt work, but you stick by. And then education in that field. You have to know your onions. Tech is not social media influencing. Tech is not doing something when you feel like doing it. It's not a feelings thing. It's not it's problem solving. And the reason why the people who succeed in tech succeed, whatever tech industry, whether it is blockchain or software development or AI, is because they didn't give up. I watched one interview that even the guy who created OpenAI, when he was creating, he was spending so much money. People couldn't even see what's generative AI, what is, people didn't even say it. In fact, at some point they asked him, this thing you are doing, how will you make money? What's in there? Do you know what he said? He said, when we finish building it, we ask the AI, how will we make money? That's
I should tell you.
He actually said, look, we don't know how we're going to make money, but when we build it, we will ask it to give us the idea of how we will make the money. So it takes, even when people don't believe in you, people don't see what you're saying, people don't trust that this thing is, but you have the vision and you have to work. You have to. So what you need is something other than, yes, you also need grit. You need grit. You need, you shouldn't be shaken by any small, you need grit. You need strength, inner strength, because there are things. When I left school, I read engineering, and at that time, number one, there were two things happening. Oil companies were paying a lot of money for engineering, and then that was the time when it was 2000 that telco started booming. So a lot of people that read electrical, a lot of people that read, they started going to all these big telcos, and they were making a lot of money. And I was there seated thinking, I didn't even have any experience. In fact, it took a lot that this your classmate is already earning XYZ in this telco. This one is already gone to oil company. In fact, one of them called me one day because during my NYSC, I served in Ogun State. And because I knew that Ogun State then didn't have, I wanted to learn tech and there wasn't any company. So what I did was I used to go to Ogun State once just for my weekly. But every other day, because I couldn't work in Lagos, because I didn't have any. So I was always at home. In fact, one of the guys called me one day and he said, person where rain no dey beat, person where sun no dey beat. Wetin go beat am? Now hunger go down. So they will be making those kinds of statements like, I was just at home, and I'll be thinking to myself that even though I might not made a mistake, but you see that 1 year, there used to be a bookshop called CSS Bookshop in CMS. I went there, I bought tech books, I bought Linux books, I bought Unix books, so I learned that 1 year. was my learning year. So I sat down, I read those. But then the internet, we didn't have the internet like this, you know. So I read the books. I was ready. So after NY, I wanted to prepare because I knew that there was nothing I could do during NYC anyway, because until I passed out. So when I finished passing out, I'd already read, you know, and some of the people too that were working there, they let them go. And so I just got I did one small stint with a small company, and then I used to visit. They used to do a lot of tech exhibitions in Lagos. The United States Embassy used to have one called what's it called now? Computer CTO, computer telecommunications and office equipment exhibition. So I would go there, you know, talking to exhibitors. So one of the exhibitors I spoke to, the way I spoke, the guy said, you seem to know a lot about technology. This is what we're trying to do. It was founded by two guys in the UK. They were trying to set up in Nigeria. So come and meet us. Let's see. And that was how I got in there. We spoke, and they gave me some contract roles, you know. So I was doing some training. I was talking, you know, and that was how, you know, I got started. And, you know, we are here today. So sometimes you may...
Is that information system?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. They wanted to bring open source software technology. You know, that time it was more Microsoft. People were buying licenses to use software, but they felt that why should you be paying expensively for software where you have the equivalent thing, you know, in open source technology, free technology, where you can just use it and all that. So we were singing that tune together, and I had already read about open source technology during my
1 year
NYSC. So it was very easy, and they were also looking for someone local who could, you know, and that was how, you know, we just started, you know, that whole thing again. So the moral is, somebody might start, you guys may finish school at the same time. Somebody will start it's like long distance race. Some people will start but by the end of the 5,000 meters now, you know, they're nowhere. So you just go at your pace, know your key. That's why I mean, she's my GM. If you ask her how she will tell you, I don't have friends, I don't have people I hang out, because I know that this race, I don't need to lose. There are people, of course I have friends who already have, you know, like I have a friend, but I mean, he has buildings, he has a loan, you know. But I also have friends who are messaging me. We went to class together and they're saying, look, I'm out of job, can you employ me? And I'm like, you're even better than me in school. So there's always, look, if you're on the bridge, no matter how fast your car is, there's always somebody in front of you. No, this Lamborghini be speeding, you are not the only one there. You would always see someone. So it is futile to think that you are in competition. Just know the strength that you have and know your own, where you are going in life, and decide for yourself. Define what success is to you. Define what me, I have defined it. I know what it is to me. So I don't care whether to you. Some people, look, if they have money today, they don't care whether they have zero balance. They take off, they travel, they come back, they are hungry again. The next money they make, that's to them success. So if you are comparing yourself, but this person is always traveling, it's like private jet. Now what? And you want to him. I have a friend who, he doesn't have a car. He doesn't live on the island, but he flies first class every time. Every time he flies first class. He makes clothes. And he says, look, the kind of clothes he makes, he can only find his customers when he finds first class.
Makes sense.
The kinds of things, or he can make something like this and call it for you for 5 million. You know, it's you that be saying, this thing, but he will tell you why it is 5 million, the fabric, he knows. And he says, look, the only way he can find his customers is work. It's not even about on the plane, the lounge.
Yeah.
When you go to the lounge,
So
he's always in first class lounge. He makes, you know, he can make this kind of thing for an Oyibo man that will pay him $10,000 and he will be happy. He says, he doesn't have a car. He takes Uber. You know, he drives his wife's car. So to him, that is success. So if he sees you driving Lamborghini, to him, that's not success. So you have to define what success is to you. I have a partner who, before you see him in t-shirts, you go nearly, you know, 3-piece suit, bow tie, shoe, you know, that's his own. But me, before you see me in shirts or trousers and shoe, it will be hard, because to me, what success is different from what success is to him. So once you define it and you know it, you never compete with anybody.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that, because we currently live in an ecosystem where people are always comparing themselves to other people.
Yeah.
But I think the lesson from what you said is, as a person, if you're there watching now, as a person, you need to sit down, introspect, and ask yourself, what does success mean to me? And then draw up a plan. What success means to you might not necessarily mean success to even your brother or your father or your mother. So you need to actually be intentional, about what success means to you.
I remember the thing I was going to say now about the second thing they really don't teach us in school.
Okay.
Yes, the teamwork and creativity. Another thing they don't teach us in school is failure. You get punished when you fail.
True.
In school.
True.
You get punished. Like,
Nobody cares why.
you repeat. But you see, in life, failure is a part of. In fact, failure is a necessity for
success.
It is why is death so important? It is because of life. Exactly. So failure itself is, without failure you won't even appreciate. So if schools can find a way to, which is why I like, I used to have a lecturer, a mathematics lecturer. He will say that, look, when he hardly fails people, even if you do something and your answer is wrong, he checks, like we always say, show workings. He checks workings. If he sees your thought process, he knows that, oh, maybe along the line you mispressed calculator or you didn't multiply something well, but your process. So instead of giving you zero, some people just check answer. So he will give. So if we learn to imbibe, in fact, what I tell people, you fail. Once you succeed at the rate at which you fail. So you do something, you fail. So, and you see, one thing about success is that when you have one singular success, it overwrites
all the failures.
Nobody talks about. I mean, like I also listen to a lot of music. One day I was watching Mashake talk. There's one song he sang. He said, that he sang that song maybe like 10 years ago, and people didn't know him. But you see, a lot of people have forgotten that when he came to Lagos, nothing. One success, one hit, one business, one deal will write over 20 failures. That's why when you look at the people that succeed the most, they're the people that fail at a very fast rate. Because they know that when you get it right, nobody is going to. You can fail. Somebody can fail all his life. And maybe in 2015, he just had maybe one last 10,000 naira and he used it to buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is $60,000 now. And he just be like, but he has failed. But you have to, because it is in that failure, is in the process of failing, retreating, that you will learn. So a lot of our schools don't teach us teamwork, and they don't teach us how to fail. So when you come out and you are a first-class student, which is where, me, I don't even really employ first-class people, because as good as they are intellectually, they are very poor. Because, imagine you are a first-class student, you've been a first-class student all your life, you've been lecturer, always winning awards, and you come out of university for the first time and you write an application letter and you get rejected. It can affect you for the rest of your life. Because when you now get out, you don't find out that you are not the only first class now. There's room for, maybe they want to employ 10 people and 1,000 first class students have applied and you're not one of them. It starts to affect with you, mentally, that you can't even cope with it because you have never failed before. Unlike a third class student who has been failing. To him, he will go back, okay, if they reject me here, I'll try again. So schools need to start to teach life is teamwork, and life, we fail a lot. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they have failed at so many things that we don't even know about, but we only see the one that I only associate them with the one. So I have one book that I bought on Apple bookstore. It's called How to Fail at Everything. Like, I don't read. Yes, I read stories about people that succeed, but I also read stories about companies that failed, people that failed, and they come out. And then we should share a lot of our failure stories. When you read a lot of things about Nigerians, we always tend to, everything is, but if you go abroad, they share a lot of their failure stories, what they did that did not work, why and how, they solved it, and how they, even companies that ended it today, they will write stories that, we knew that it was our fault that like Kodak now, when they saw digital cameras, they even had the patent for digital cameras, but they did, because their main business was selling films. They did not know that digital camera was going to come, and the same thing Blockbuster, when Netflix, so a lot of these things you now learn that I don't want to be part of this. You now learn that when new technologies come, even if it has not taken off, be watching it. You too have a leg in there, just in case. So it's when people start to criticize AI is going to take our job, or cryptocurrencies used by scammers, or no, even as a bank or as a government, be watching the trend. Not that you are going to say but at least go for conferences, learn about it, so that even if you don't adopt it, you will be doing it from an informed position. Not that you just say, people are saying it is scammers that are using it. If it was scammers, the first people that used the internet, the very first set of people that used the internet were people that were distributing pornography. Because back then, pornography was in all these CDs and tapes. So they now found it as a distribution channel. People that were doing, what's it called? Kidnapping and terrorism, because they now found a way to communicate with themselves via the internet, so all these people that are doing child, all this, they just fall. But look at the internet today, it has more use cases. As people still not using it for bad, it is, but it has served humanity. Some people have never entered 4 walls of a school. All their degrees have been online.
True.
It's the internet that made it possible. You sit in your house and you can attend any university you want in the world. What else can beat that? You now say because somebody is using it for terrorism, then you now want to shut it. When some people are today, it's almost as if people that you would never have known. You go to YouTube, somebody, Mr. Beast, has more followers than some countries put together. True. And you be like, this is a human being. How would you know? And all because of the internet. You can, as we are here, you can put this interview out now, and all of a sudden, people in China, people in India will watch it. How would that happen before? When we were younger, when events happen, you have to wait till 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock when you see it. Now you see news on the fly. When they play football, I probably follow Premier League, and you wait for them to read results. Manchester United, if I will 3, you now be like, we won. Then you now be showing you replays. But now, even if you don't have it, you are on X, on social media, you are seeing it real time. There are apps that even give you this as soon as the goal comes in. So has it benefited mankind? Of course. It now means that I can have real-time information. A medical doctor can have, once they've discovered cure for anything, anywhere in the world, immediately you're already reading about it in Nigeria here. Come on. And you want to say because 1 or 2 people are using it for this thing, I want to ban it. No, we have to look at both the good and the bad. So every piece of technology we've had in the world, every piece of technology, this light, this knife that you go on traffic, people buy. Is the person selling knife going to ask me, do you want to use it in the kitchen, or you want to use it to stab somebody? It's a tool. So when you have a tool, it's what you do with the tool that matters. That's why I like the saying that when somebody was asking, I think one of the American presidents, that they should ban guns, that guns are killing people. He said no, guns don't kill people. People
kill people.
Kill people. Technology is technology. It's people. It's somebody that will press the trigger. So it is the person you need to work on. Because even if the gun was not there, if the person wanted to kill you in the first place anyway, he can, strangle you or poison you or something. So at the end of the day, technology there will everly be, yes, we need regulation. We need to put policies on how to use the technology, but don't put a blanket ban. I believe that this technology is what will save Nigeria. I can imagine if Nigeria becomes the world capital of blockchain technology, the world capital of AI technology, the world capital of, internet tech. If I had my way, honestly, you will infuse everywhere. You will leapfrog once you enlighten, once you empower people, you will leapfrog once you give people education through internet. Imagine you take internet to all this displaced community and you give them internet and you give them some of them, I watch videos of some of these people that I would probably have never, and I'm like, these people have content. They will spread their message. They will spread once you give it to them, but not that they will be doing, education, and that technology would, empower us in Africa.
That's very beautiful, which is going to go to the last question I was going to ask you is, what role do you think in the short term, emerging technology can play in the development of Nigeria and by extension Africa?
Emerging technology would transition us away from poverty. Honestly, I believe that if we embrace this technology very well, because emerging technology, especially as we are seeing with artificial intelligence, because it is permeating everywhere. An example I always give is in 1999, nobody had phones. And look at what just having a mobile phone has done to a country like Nigeria. What it has done, what we are benefiting from it today. That was, at that time, it was emerging technology. But look at it now. Even somebody who is a malam, a market woman, they all have mobile. They can all use WhatsApp. They can all check up on, things. That's the same thing. So if we embrace it now, embracing it not from a consumption end. Now, when technologies come here, we always use it in terms of everybody can use ChatGPT, everybody. But right now, we have to think about it from the production end. And we have to think about it from affecting. So how can we use AI in fixing, corruption? How can we use AI in fixing, healthcare? How can we use AI in fixing education? I hear, you go to some schools, even their lecturers don't allow them use technology. No, in the global world, you're going to be competing with people that are this technology we're using here. Do you know that some of these technologies were built by 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds? When Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook, he was 18. He had to drop out. Bill Gates, when he started Microsoft all those years ago, these were young people. But because they were in an environment where they saw the future, and that's why I like the American market, because they can be pumping money, They believe they don't care. To them, it's a tool. But they know that if you succeed, you will. If you ask yourself too, why all the technologies in this world that we use, they all come from the same place, the United States. That is where they have capital, long-term capital. They don't care. They have VC. They have venture capital. They have angel investors. They have all sorts that will finance you. And that's why you have the richest people. That's why if you have an idea today, everybody wants to go there. And then they don't discriminate whether you are young or you're old. Once you have the idea, you will see a financier. You see somebody who will see exactly what you're saying and be able to say, look, okay, I believe in this vision. When Mark Zuckerberg started social media, people didn't believe. In fact, at that time, people would say, who will put in their picture online? That's what? Who? But look at it today. It's almost as if when you get to the first place you take picture, you put online, oh, I'm here. You want to eat food, you take picture, you put it online. It has become the norm for us because they were willing to think outside the box and they had people to encourage them. But over here, you see that, once you put something, hey, village people are watching you. How do you succeed when, and I don't, those things are, I think they are mindsets that we need to move out of. So, technology, AI, blockchain, Web3, internet, all these things are there to leapfrog. And we've even seen some things. If you look at some of the companies that, have been acquired, all these Paystar, Flutterwave, they were all built by young people. The two guys that built Paystar going to Babcock, it just came out. They didn't study, just came out, built it, and look at it today. They built something that affected the world, that solved problems, and today they've sold out. They've become multi-millionaires in dollars. So those are the things that so imagine if a lot of other people are doing that, regardless of what people think. Because here, there's always this tendency that, you can't be too, and because our parents have instilled in us, don't shine too much. They don't, this is the ceiling. Don't, you're not a white man. No, you cannot do this. No. But if we have the technology we're using here is what they're doing there. So if we have more encouragement, like for me, I have a young daughter, and I mean, to my mind, there's no way she cannot enter. From the one, because I know the mindset of Africans. Oh, girl, child, blah blah blah. Me, because there's nothing, if you put your mind to it, there is nothing that it's as long as you make up your mind that you want to reach there. It might take one person 2 years, it might take another person 5 years, it might take you 10 years, but as long as you know that you want to reach there, nothing should stop you. And technology is a platform, is a foundation upon which you can be, is what will give you the stratosphere, is what will leapfrog you. And we have to start thinking about it from the production side, which is why in our own company too, we're trying to build products and services, and then trying to get that's why, like I said before coming here, we are doing a grassroots radio program on AI, explaining AI to people in pidgin. Say, this AI, this now waiting if you do for your business. We're saying so that people can see that this technology is not really as far-fetched as people think. You can sit down there, even like somebody that the day I took the picture of my engine, and I just said, look, why can't mechanics do that here? You have check engine, like take it, create an AI model, but we don't think like that here, and you can't blame us, because there are some things that, if you don't eat, you can't, if you have not eaten, if you don't have lights, if, you're struggling with, you may not be able to, like they say, an empty sack can't stand straight, it will fall. But that's the impact of technology. That's the role technology would emerging technology would have on us here, and our educational system too would probably benefit a lot from it.
Beautiful. It's been really, really insightful, learning from you.
Thank you.
And chatting with you on this episode. There's so much packed in there. I love the drive. I love the fact that you're creating solutions ongoing from Africa and trying to export to the world. Thank you so much for your time. We feel super honored to have you here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode of Stories and Journeys. Thank you so much, guys.